everybody! Today I wanted to read you a story called When Pigcasso Met Mootise. This is a story about two artists who were real, Pablo Picasso and Henry Matisse. But in this book, they're not real people. They are actually a pig, for Pigcasso, and a bull, for Mootise. I hope that you guys like this book. We're going to learn a little bit about the artists, and we're going to learn about their creative process, how they made some art, and we're also going to learn how they became really good friends. I hope that you guys like this book. This book is called When Pigcasso Met Mootise. There once was a young pig named Pigcasso. While the other piglets rolled in the mud and played games, Pigcasso painted. He painted anything and everything, and in a most unusual way. At the same time, there once was a young bull named Mootise. Mootise was not like other bulls. He wasn't interested in bullfighting. Mootise was happy only when he painted pictures, and he painted big, bold, bright pictures. In time, word of Picasso's talent spread throughout the pig provinces. Soon, art-loving pigs from all over lined up to buy his creations. At the same time, Mootise was getting famous in the cattle community. There weren't many households that didn't own a moosterpiece. Pigcasso and Mootise were becoming art superstars. But this came with a price. Everybody wanted to see them. Art buyers, art sellers, art students, art historians, art groupies. It was an art attack. One day, Pigcasso got fed up and said, "I'm tired of this noisy pig pen." At the same time, Mootise declared, "I'm sick of this crowded cow town." Needing a change, they both decided to look for a peaceful place where they could paint without distractions. So each of the two artists looked far and wide for the perfect spot. Pigcasso found a lovely farm looking towards the east. Mootise found a handsome farm facing the west. After Pigcasso moved in, he went to introduce himself to his new neighbor across the road. At the same time, Mootise went to introduce himself to his new neighbor across the road. And that is how Pigcasso met Mootise. And coincidentally, that is how Mootise met Pigcasso. At first, Pigcasso and Mootise were friendly and welcomed each other as neighbors. But soon, things began to change. It started one day when Pigcasso criticized one of Mootise's paintings. Then Mootise made fun of one of Picasso's. Mootise called Pigcasso an art hog. Then Pigcasso called Mootise a mad cow. Mootise quipped, "You paint like a 2-year-old. Pigcasso retorted, "You paint like a wild beast." Mootise raged, "Your colors look like mud." Pigcasso spat, "Your paintings look like color by numbers." And then things got really out of hand. It was a modern art mess. Pigcasso stormed off into his house. "That Mootise doesn't like my art," he huffed. "Well, I'll show him." And Mootise bullied his way into the house. "I'll give that Pigcasso something he can really criticize," he snorted. Then a full-scale feud erupted. But it was a most unusual battle. Armed with ladders and buckets of paint, Mootise launched the first attack. He started at dawn. By the end of the evening, he had succeeded in transforming the outside of his house into a monster-sized moosterbeast. Not to be outdone, Pigcasso fired up his paintbrushes and, in full view of the enemy, counterattacked. He turned his farm into a huge and outrageous pork of art. The two artists then retreated into their houses and pulled down the shades. Pigcasso certainly didn't want to look out his window and stare at a Mootise. And Mootise had no desire to give his rooms a view of a Pigcasso. This presented a problem, and there seemed to be only one solution. Without a word to each other, Pigcasso and Mootise each began to build a huge wooden fence right down the middle of their road. At first, Pigcasso and Mootise seemed satisfied. Both artists went back to painting by themselves. But after a while, Pigcasso was surprised to find out that he missed his bullheaded Mootise. And at the same time, Mootise found his studio empty without the presence of pig-headed Pigcasso. Pigcasso wondered, that Mootise isn't such a bad artist. He had some interesting ideas. And Mootise moaned, that Pigcasso may not paint like me, but he knows what he's doing. However, being naturally pig-headed and bull-headed, neither artist knew how to apologize to the other. So they did what they do best. They let their paintbrushes do the talking. Pigcasso painted on one side of the fence, and Mootise painted on the other. Each one worked until they were exhausted. It was strangely quiet when they were done. Then, curious to see what Mootise had been doing, Pigcasso sprinted around to the other side. And at the same time, Mootise galloped over to the Pigcasso side. The silence was broken as the two artists began laughing at the amazing work of art. From that day on, Pigcasso and Mootise became great friends. They happily took down the fence and shared their different views. A few months later, a big museum bought the fence. Pigcasso called his side when Pigcasso met Mootise, and Mootise called his side when Mootise met Pigcasso. And the critics called it incredible.